with a timing step with my right foot forward. And as I take my step back with my right foot, I'm going to step behind my own foot, and notice that I don't put my foot down. He's going to take a step because that's what I've done here. I've taken a step. It's a little bit longer than normal by maybe 3-4 inches, and then I'm going to rock back onto my heel. And notice it draws his left foot or his right foot forward. The key to this is this. You have to have your heel up, and I guess drop your knee down a little bit. And I'm leaning forward just a little bit so that I can push my hips back maybe 3 inches further than what they normally would. I mean, if I was taking a normal step. So that allows me then, as I shift my hips back and put my heel down, to get him to take that step. All right. We talked about this before. This is a throw with no kazushi. All right. I don't have to do anything to him. He grabs a hold of me and he just follows. Here, I didn't do nothing. Okay, and you can use your hand. You can use kazushi, but I just want you to realize that sometimes it isn't necessary to create something with your arms to get that kind of a tie to begin to draw your partner through. Obviously, as he's taking that step, if I'm pulling with my arms in addition to pulling with my body, I'm going to get him to move more. But start out first with it with no kazushi, you know, because then you're getting to the point where it's about as pure as it gets. Then add kazushi to that as you go along with your practice, and you'll get to the point where you blend it in so smoothly that your partner never sees it coming. And that's the key to this. So, oops, thanks for holding me up. I step back behind my own foot, keep that heel high. A lot of people tend to straighten their leg a little bit more, and so then by the time I rock back, look, it doesn't do anything at all. So the key to this is, I'm here as I rock back with this, my hip goes back and my foot goes down. It draws his foot forward so I can sweep it. Okay, go ahead. Get a few reps in. Practicing this one when you're using no kazushi at all, you have to get your mind set to blend with your partner. And so as he's taking his step, you need to figure out what his rhythm is. And if he's going glong glong, you need to go glong glong. You can't be going glong glong because he's not moving at that pace. So you have to blend with him. Pinky. Alright? Blend in. And so try to figure out what his tempo is and match his tempo. And so when you put your foot down, you're feeling his tempo as it's moving toward you. And then you put your heel down based on what his tempo is. So don't try to rush that drop with the heel. Pause for a second, feel where your partner is moving, and then blend with his tempo. Go ahead. Think he's still in the regular world when he's not.
That wasn't days, that was about a month of me puzzling over him throwing that at me.
Well, last time we were in Bismarck, I had I was doing third technique, first dan, Osogate. And I was wondering where the retreat was in it. And Sam Rudd said, okay, it happens at kake, right? So this is all up to the point of kake, and I'm retreating. I'm walking away from my partner. And I went, okay, bingo. You know, and that's one of the advantages of having a group of people like you, that not everybody just accepts everything and goes, okay, that's what Sensei said. Sometimes they go, all right, now wait a minute. That doesn't seem to work the way that I think it should. And they come up with some ideas of their own. They share them with me, or they share them with one of the other senseis. And then it starts a conversation. And eventually we develop something that's better than what we all had together because we're a little gestalt. We're making things work better because of the group effort. Okay, we're going to get out of my conversation now. Okay. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do another one of those techniques that's got that drop heel on it. This one is Ouchigari. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, you can step forward a little bit if you want to, but just standing normally, all you need to do is just turn your heel out, and I need to make sure that my heel is pointing towards that wall. Here's where my body is. It's pointing towards this wall. Ken's back is toward that wall. I need to go 90 degrees from that. And as I rock back to my heel, he takes a step forward. Okay? This can happen even from out in kind of a Judo type sort of a movement. I can step out here, and you can get a lot of pull doing that. I had to pull a little bit. I heard his jacket go. It's getting a little old there, sir. So turn your heel out to the side. The thing that most people do with this is they start out this way, and then they come back and they retreat back to being square. So that foot's a long way away from the brain, and so you kind of have to maybe go, all right, foot, all right, there it goes, and get it to watch your own foot to make sure that it goes where you think it's going. Like I said, our brains aren't attached very well to our feet until we train them, until we train our brain to know exactly where our foot is. And once you do that, where you know your heel is, then you don't have to look at your foot. But as you're doing this, turn your heel to the outside, look at your foot. Is it in the right position? Yes. Rock back. Draw your partner across. Then as he's coming across, you can do Ochigari. All I'm really concerned about is getting that drop heel movement. Get that. Once you've got that, Ochigari becomes really easy. All right? Go ahead. Strong pull. The other thing that I do is I push with this front foot. I push myself onto that heel. And so that's where I get the power from this. It's not just here and this, which doesn't move my hip at all. Ken, put your hand right there. All right. If I do this and just do this, I've got maybe 2 inches. If I'm here and do this, notice how far I came back. There's a foot there. I can generate a foot of power by how I set this up and how I do it. So use that in your evaluation. As you're doing this, think about how far is my hip moved? Not much. He didn't move either. All right. But if I turn this, now I can use that to make a big pull. So think about that when you do that. Is that you've got to, as you turn this, you've got to shift your hip over here. You don't end up standing with your weight between your feet. You end up with all of your weight on this back leg. I guess in karate they call it a cat stance. You know, it's this sort of thing. You know, all the weight is back here. All right? That's what you've got to do with this. You've got to move your hip from here all the way over to here. That's how you generate that power. Okay? Try it for a few more minutes. Really important movement. Turn and press. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to step off to the side here, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to press my forearm right along the side of his shoulder, or into the side of his chest, here, and pull him up back this way. Okay? So, I'm coming here, this is the turn part, and then this is the pressing part here, and I want to press really solidly onto his chest. That part I want to take along with me. I don't care whether you get the leg or any of the rest of that. Just do this for a couple minutes, and then we're going to go into a Kuriashi Barai. Okay, go ahead. When we're kind of practicing. But with a Kuriashi Barai, I need to be kind of a half a step to my left. So I need to be here, because I have to be able to push into my partner this way, and push in, and then notice how I'm setting my arm up here? And we talked about this just a minute ago in Osotogari. So I'm coming in here, and I'm pressing in and catching this same end movement, that turn and press. All right? So the turning part we haven't discussed yet. You notice that we're going to end up kind of about in the same spot. All right. We're going to start out pretty much the same way that we do for Osotogari. I'm gonna take a little bit of a step forward, but instead of pinning him, I want him to walk. And so I'm just gonna step back this way, and he walks. And once he walks, notice that my hand automatically gets set right on his collar. So that's turn and press. So I turn and press. You end up, notice how you end up in the same body position that we were in when we did Osotogari. I end up with this hand being right solid against the side of his chest. I end up with this hand being down, which is what happens when I'm doing Osotogari. Notice how I push this arm, elbow down to his side, and this arm is right up solid on his chest. So I'm controlling him up onto his heel. I'm going to do the same thing. I make my turn, I get him to step forward with this foot here. I end up getting at the very end of that same position. I happen to be turning the same direction, but he took a step. Okay, so if my technique is Osotogari, it would be nice to have this one as a secondary technique. Because if I happen to go like this, and he follows, all I need to do is follow with Kuriaki. So he walks right into it. Okay? So, leave your foot, left foot here, step back with your right, pull your, don't let your partner get way out. Okay? Here, close, and then sweep. You end up in that same position that you end up, sort of alright. Pushing the elbow into the side of the rib cage, with the forearm up across the shoulder and top of the chest. Okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm not going to get up for this one. I can't bend over. It compresses my lung too much, and I'll just end up coughing, and you won't be able to understand me at all. All right, so we're going to start out with the same entry again. So this is this entry that looks kind of like Osotogari. All right, and Uke takes a step with his left foot because maybe Tori pulled a little bit too hard. Or maybe Uke is aware, he's been watching, or he's just got a good sense of sensitivity. Now, what we did is we started with Osoto, and you do Osoto, and then second time, Uke took a step, and so we did a Kuriashi Barai. This time, it's going to start out exactly the same way, same procedure. He starts out with that turning motion around the outside. This time he lets Uke go. There's no way that he can sweep the foot. Or Uke figures out how to escape. So what he does is he steps in for Hanigoshi. I like the stories that are told with this way of practicing the Gokyo no Waza. Because we start out with an attack for Osotogari, and our opponent takes a step forward, and so he follows up with a Kuriashi Barai. That's right, don't worry about it. Don't worry about following me, my narrative. Okay, Kuriashi Barai. But now Uke backs his hips out and gets a little bit more space in there, and so now Kuriashi Barai would be very difficult to do. Now, bring your leg up a little bit higher, almost so your shin is almost vertical, and capture his other leg at the same time. So you do a double leg Hanigoshi.
Took out my foot, didn't it?
Yeah, you got your foot out there. This is another way of doing Hanigoshi. It's actually much easier for beginners. And so just step into it there, like there, like there.
Okay.
That's much easier for beginners rather than getting the single leg. And so just something to put into your mind, those of you who teach or may help teaching, at some point you may get to that point where you go, all right, we're going to teach Hanigoshi today, and people are kind of struggling doing the single leg version. If you put the leg across the bar, both legs, it makes it a little bit easier. Now, there's no kick in Hanigoshi. It's not like Osotogari that's got a reaping leg. You just basically put the foot there, it just floats there next to your partner's leg. As you bend over, the leg goes up. And that's what tips uke over onto the ground. Okay? So go ahead and do it again. You start out the same way. Uke escapes, thinks he escapes. You throw it with hanigoshi. Go ahead. Okay? That was good. That was really good. I like that. Yeah.
Stop here or step back, and then, yeah. And go.
Series. So your major technique is also a guardian. If you happen to catch somebody with it, the referee sticks his arm up in the air and he goes ippon, and you walk away. You go, you know, I got him. But on the other hand, if you're stepping in for it and uke advances his left foot and he stays close, you can throw him with a kuriashi barai. It's probably too close to get in to do hanigoshi. But if he takes a wide step and puts his hips out, now you have an opportunity to do hanigoshi. So you've got three techniques that all rely on the same opening. So whatever uke is doing doesn't make any difference. He's screwed. Alright? He doesn't take a step, he gets thrown. He takes a small step and keeps his hips in, he gets thrown. He takes a big step and puts his hips up, he gets thrown. Whatever it is, you've made one entry and he doesn't know what it is that you're going to do. You know, and so you practice all three of them, do them really intensely until you get it to the point that they are so unconscious. You just go out in the tournament, you grab a hold of somebody, and you start out with that movement, and whatever they happen to do, you capitalize on it, take advantage of it. So this is what's really good. This is what I really like about these kinds of stories like this, is because they lead you someplace. It's not like an isolated technique. So you do one technique, you practice it, and then you do another technique, and that connection, that linking, sometimes isn't there. And I've always felt that the best way to teach is kind of to be able to link things together, kind of like what we did just this last half hour. Okay, we got another 25 minutes. I'm not going to keep anybody too late because I'm going to run out of energy. So, next one we want to do is we're going to do spiral in. And it starts out with Sasei Suri Komihashi. And to start with is one of the things that I want you to notice. You can stand right there for a second, Ken. This is just a matter of physiology and just understanding how physiology works. This is as tall as I get when my feet are together. But if I take a step, notice that my height decreases. That's because I've got my feet out at an angle. Right? I bring my feet together and I come back up again. Some throws require that your feet be together in order for them to work. This is one of those techniques. You want the feet to be together. So if you Work on this one and get it so that you have movement in it. You never want to catch your partner with his feet apart because this requires that he goes up again. This is another one of these, just like Okuriashi Barai that's got that lift to it. This one has a lift to it, it goes up in the air. You want him to start out fairly high to start out with, not down low like this. And so you need to bring him up so that you can make this throw. Okay, so just keep that in mind, is that this one is an upward throw, and you just want to focus on getting your partner to go up with this. Okay. Now,
I told you that 30 years ago.
I just learned that last week. Okay, it's new information for me. By the way, if you're curious, go to Windsong Dojo. Wind, W-I-N-D-S-O-N-G, Dojo. They've got on YouTube, they must have 150 videos. They're kind of like us. They do Judo and some Aikido and some Judo, and they have seminars every spring and fall for 3 days where they have a whole bunch of different martial arts that they do. I went down there and trained with them 2 years ago. That was in the fall, 2 years ago. Nice people, really, really good people. They've got some very, very interesting Judo stuff recorded on video. And so if you want to kind of get some ideas for, you know, and they're just like this physiology thing that I was just talking about relative height, depending on how you step. It also makes a difference in how you throw somebody, depending on whether they're going down or whether they're coming up. And so you can use some of that. Dig through their site, they've got a bunch of really good stuff, and they're very highly technical and respected. Okay. So this one, I'm going to move my foot to start with over here. I'm going to point my toes toward his right foot. My right foot points towards his right foot, sorry. And I'm going to push back, and I'm going to pull out, but notice I'm stretching him out, and I'm getting him standing on his right foot. Okay? Where I want to go with this is, I'm going to let go of this, okay? Or keep it loose, okay? I'm standing here, I'm doing this, I'm going to tap him, I'm going to move over here. So you see how he's standing back here, you can see his footprints are on the mat, there they are. I need to get out of his way so that he's got a clear spot to fall. So think about that as you're doing this. Is your goal is to make that movement and get over there. What I have to do in the middle of that is I have to tap him on the ankle as I make that turn. Okay. As I come over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this elbow up, and again I go right back to this press on the side of the chest, and I'll lift with it. He's coming up in the air, and I'm going to keep a real loose grip and don't go over me. As I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to rip myself backwards. So there's that kind of a strong pull to this in order to get him to really be moving forward and upward. Okay. Okay. Here it is. It might help if you re-grip underneath. So you come in. Okay? Go ahead. Sensei, Is that better? Okay. And Anton was in the 1964 Olympics and won the gold medal. He's a heavyweight, 270 or 80 pounds, something like that. But he was like 6'6", and he had a spectacular Sensei Kobayashi. Another one was a few years back, must have been about 1990, went to nationals in Florida. There was a guy who was so big that they had to use 2 scales to weigh him. Weighed in at 532 pounds. He did Sensei, and when he did it, he would come in and he'd take the leg, he'd just hang on, and he'd land right on top of the guy, chest to chest. Like that. And the guy on the bottom will just kind of disappear. If you've seen those Timex commercials, I think it was, where he sits down on top of another samurai and he goes up his butt. A long time ago, he also did it sumo in America. You know who he is, don't you, Steve?
Oh,
Manny
yeah, yeah. Yep.
Huge guy. He's also stood like about 6'6". So it was funny. I was sitting on this side of the gymnasium, and there were two mats, and the referee was standing there, and Manny was the far one. And you kind of go, perspective kind of says that people go like this, but it kind of went down and then it went back up again. You kind of go, wow. I'm not competing against that guy. Anyway, next technique is koshiguruma. And it's another spiraling in motion. I haven't got a link from the first one to the second one yet, but I may before this is over. So, what I want to do with this one is this one is a moving technique. So Ken is moving to the side over here, and I step through this way. Look what I'm doing. I'm taking this step, I'm winding the spring, so to speak. And what I'm going to do then is just come around and take him down. So, switch our angle here a little bit. So, if you take that step to the side, I just swing through. Start with your feet first. Your hips come second, but it gives you all of that time to. What I don't want to do is, as he goes this way, and I don't want to do this, because I kind of leave him stable behind me. And I really want to wind up and hit it with a lot of energy. And so, I'm going to get that energy here. Okay? Okay, koshiguruma. Go ahead. It locks tight. Okay, and you wind it up, you just drop it on the ground, it'll just kind of go, and it'll stay right in one spot. So what you're trying to do is you wind it up, and then you pin it to the ground, and you let it go, and then it really, it torques. It's got a lot of power to it because it's got a fixed spot. Okay? So what I want to do is, it's all right for me to turn my body. He takes a step, and I follow along this way, and it's all right for me to do that. But what I'm limiting myself to is my rotation momentum. All right? And so it's how fast I can turn my hips in order to come in. How do I increase my hip speed? I plant my feet. So he goes that way, I go that way. Now I'm exaggerating this because just to prove a point. Okay? And now what I would normally keep on my toes because I have to spin. But what this allows me to do is I've got a fixed point on the ground. I can use that to press through, to drive my hips through. I get more force because I'm planted on the ground and I'm using that rotational momentum, I guess. Kind of hard finding words for this because it's not something that we normally deal with. But I want to go like this before I start turning. I want to get my feet on the ground with all of that energy for the turn planted to the ground. So it's not like this. You can see how slow that is as opposed to that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to end up with a mechanism that's going to move faster than what he can move. Because his next step is another step to the side. So you keep stepping. I'm going to go to the slow version. So we go this way and I go here, and he's still going out to the side. I'm not in front of him anymore. I didn't turn in fast enough. So I need to increase my speed of turning in. So he goes out that way. You got there. See what you're trying to accomplish? You're trying to plant your feet and then pivot. Okay? So I'm using the floor to help me get that spring unwound. Okay? So I can maybe double my speed.
I feel like a truck hitting me. When that connection happens,
It's very solid. But think about that as that you want to get your feet down on the ground before you contribute your hips to it. Now, I would say this, don't go wild with this, because this is a motion you've never done. And if you start doing this at a high speed, something may kind of go click, bang, rip, boom, in the body, and that's not a good thing either. So start slow with this, so the body has a chance to kind of build things up and make things work. Figure out where you're going with that. Okay, go ahead, try. On Uke's part, the way that Uke Otoshi works is that I need to stiffen my partner up. There's a lot of ways of doing it. If you watch, if you happen to see one of Steve Cunningham's videos, he steps in and he twists the guy really sharply back, and when he starts spinning back, then he slides underneath and drops him, okay? Or drops me and people on it, okay? But instead of doing that, I'm going to do it a different way. We're just going to use an Okuriashi Barai. And so I'm going to make Ken step back over here towards Ryan, and so it's going to be kind of at a 45-degree angle. You'll see Okuriashi Barai demonstrated going sideways. I'm not going to go sideways. I'm going to go this way here and bring his feet together. And once his feet are together, I'm just going to slide right down here and roll him over. He almost goes straight sideways. So it feels like when you're doing a kemi. That's not good for me. It feels like Ken is standing here, and he's going to do a roll fall towards that wall. Okay? So it's not a standard forward roll fall, it's more of a sideways roll fall. Have you guys ever done that? Yeah, you did. Ken did. Anybody who trained in Fargo did, because I did it a lot. But my part on this is I should feel like I've slipped on a banana. Okay, so I take this here like this, and over he goes. Notice what I'm doing with my left hand. Get elbow planted on the ground, or actually this upper part of the arm, laying on the ground with my fist up in the air. That's on his sleeve. And that. Yeah. But Ken rotates off his elbow right on the top of my hand. And so, rather than letting this drop down, which makes a harder fall for him, and a bigger fall, I can control this fall by just making sure that I plant that and get a little bit of control there. All right, now you got to help me out. Oh, thank you. That's a long way up there. That's some sensitivity for what I put you guys through. So, Uke thinks about slipping, Tori thinks about slipping on a banana. Okay, so I make this step back here. I get him to stiffen up by pushing him towards that back corner. I kind of lift him up a little bit here, and then I'm just going to slide my foot in. You're not going to go anywhere, okay? You can say it here. I'm going to slide my foot in. This way. All right? Stand where you were. Notice how close I end up getting? So I just kind of want to go down. I don't need to touch. This is not an active leg, it's a passive leg. By sliding it out of the way, I get it out of the way so I can get down to the ground faster. Okay? So, thank you. Try it. I'm not going to demonstrate it again.
So you're saying Uke is standing here.
Uke is standing there. Uke should land close to the line over here. So this is a Yoko Otoshi. So this is a side throw. And so if you start throwing it forward, then it becomes more of Uke Waza. That's okay. I mean, just so you understand the difference between the two of them. So Uke Waza's got a little bit more of an opening to it, where Yoko Otoshi is more of a closure. I'm trying to think that there's a couple of throws. There's a throw that's more towards the front than that. That actually happens for quite a few judo throws, depending on which direction you're throwing, depends on what it's called. But think about that as a way of testing your throw. Is find a line and stand next to the line or parallel to the wall or whatever it is, and then watch what happens to Uke when you throw it, and then start start making adjustments after that. And so you go, okay, well, I'm throwing him about 30 degrees over here. See if you can't walk him back. And then you can go back the other way and then go back further, so you're throwing him a little bit backwards. The idea for all of this is just to give you a starting point, so that you start working your way through and try all the different opportunities. You know, your partner may step different, and so you throw him and it ends up being more 45-degree angle than it ends up being straight to the side. Doesn't make any difference, just as long as you learn to control for all of those things. Go ahead and try it just twice, then we'll be done.
Don't use the curve on.
Yeah, and pretty